All right, baby. We're here at the Scorched Earth Sports Vision podcast, February 15th, Saturday. Oh, that week took forever. Even when I'm on vacation, just seems like oh my gosh, it's just too quick. How did we already get to the middle of February? I hope everybody out there survived Valentine's Day. Now you got, what's the next big holiday for couples? I don't know. Wow. I guess Christmas. Wow. Consider yourself lucky, gentlemen. Don't forget the anniversary, though. You know, I was talking to my niece the other day, and, you know, she's in a relationship. And when we started talking, the relationship started in November. And then later during the conversation, she said, well, I guess we started dating in September. And I looked at her boyfriend and I said, you better figure out exactly when that anniversary date is and get it down now so there's not 2 or 3. You know how you get into a relationship and down the road, they're like, oh, this is the anniversary of our first date. And this is the anniversary of when we started going steady. It's like, how many gifts can you get? My God. It's like what they do now with babies, you know? They got the gender reveal party, then they got the baby shower, and then they got the pre-birth shower. I'm like, oh my God. Like, you know, how do we do that? How many gifts can you get? Let's start a GoFundMe. Jesus Christ. What's this world coming to? All right. So Friday night, the All-Star game is in beautiful San Francisco, NBA All-Stars. And we talked about this a little yesterday. I wish the NBA would just embrace the fun. I know they want a competitive game. I know they want to keep eyeballs, but you know, these guys are just literally the best athletes in the world. It is a grind out there. You know, I was watching this week, Wednesday and Thursday, so many teams were on the end of a back-to-back on a road trip. I think the Warriors were on a 6-game road trip. And, you know, I took Houston in that game. Obviously, the bettors actually figured it out and went from 6.5 down to 1.5. They all took Golden State, and Golden State won. There was a close call in the fourth quarter, but they were pretty much the better team. And you know, I'm so in awe of how these teams can I was watching the game and they said, well, they didn't get in their hotel until 4 a.m. And then they had the shoot around at 2. And I'm like, wow, man, how did these guys even get some sleep? You know, because Houston, they're playing Houston. Man, those guys are running you up and down the floor. It's like the Premier League. You go out there and, man, those guys are sprinting on sprinting on sprinting. This ain't no American League. Well, I guess the American League is actually pretty athletic too. The Mexican League's maybe a little more slower, a little more nuanced, a little more, I'm not going to say skill-based, but it allows for a little more artistry. You know, these young guys, they're just like bulls, going. There's not the subtlety, I guess, but winning is winning, right? Stephen Castle of San Antonio, which I still don't for the life of me understand how Sacramento didn't get him in that trade for De'Aaron Fox, was the MVP of the Rising Stars. I'm telling you, they get one more guy. They're within a year of taking OKC. And I looked at OKC's lineup this week, you know, for betting purposes. And if Shea isn't getting points, where do they really get buckets from? You know I watched that team, and that team from 1 to 10 is just a monster. I mean, when they're playing defense, they are all out. They are just suffocating there. But I wonder what's going to happen in the playoffs if Shea gets a 4th foul early in the 3rd quarter or a 5th foul in the end of the 3rd quarter. Where are they going to go to buckets? Is Chet Holmgren going to be the guy? I don't think they know that yet. I really wish at the deadline, and they got capital for days, they would have got a 3-point shooter, a real guy who could heat it up. But, you know, look, Presti is way more talented than me. He's forgotten more in this week than I'll ever know. So, Kansas City Royals signed all-star pitcher Reagans. I did notice they signed him to a 3-year extension. I was surprised it was for $13 million. He was an all-star last year. He is actually For all you bettors out there, he is the favorite to win the American League Cy Young. That guy had a monster year last year. He came back from back-to-back Tommy John surgeries, and he rebounded with Texas 2 years ago, and he had a great run when they won the World Series. And then he came over to Kansas City, had a really good year last year. Him and Waka, really, really impressive. I thought he settled for a little low. It was 3 years, $13 million. They're buying out 2 years of arbitration. Cole Burns, when he was in Milwaukee, went the other way, didn't take the extension, won the Cy Young, and got a $6.5 million deal. But I will say this. You're Cole Reagans. You're just a couple years removed from back-to-back. You can put $13 million in the bank, guaranteed. You can have financial security for your family. I get it. I get why you put the pen to paper. I really do. I mean, you have another arm problem. It's one pitch. You know, I get it. I probably wouldn't have done it, but whatever. Saturday night, tonight, we are going to have the ultimate hockey game. We're going to have USA and Canada, and it is going to be spectacular. We saw what USA did to Finland the other day, took them apart. It was a close game, though, for the first two periods. It was scary for U.S. And then the Kachuk brothers took over. Canada got by Sweden, which was feisty, 4-3. The most memorable game these two countries have played was the 2010 game of the Olympics, where it was tied 2-2, went into overtime, and Sidney Crosby hit the golden goal, which, you know, Sid has had just about as good of a career as anybody could who's not named Wayne Gretzky or Mario Lemieux. It is amazing how underappreciated that guy is. He really is just a spectacular player. I guess really the only thing that you think is unfortunate for him is he plays for the same franchise as Mario Lemieux did, you know, and Mario was just unbelievable. You know, there's some of these players that, like Eric Lindros, super talent, just had a lot of concussions, you know, just physically wasn't able to get there. But I can't wait to watch that game. We will be talking about it tomorrow, that's for sure. The Dolphins released Mostert and tight end Kendall Fuller. My question is, can you goddamn get a quarterback? Can you get a backup quarterback there, please? Instead of hanging out and hiring JT as your backup quarterback just because he understands the playbook? God dang. Yeah, we don't need Flacco. Yeah, we don't need that. Ronald Acuna from the Braves, their MVP winner a couple years ago, says he's 95% back from the ACL. I hope so. The guy is spectacular. The Braves are up against it. They're in probably the toughest division in baseball, looking up at the Phillies and the Mets. I don't think they're looking up at the Mets, but I think the Phillies are going to be really tough. And let's go to golf. Good day at Torrey Pines. Rory McIlroy was on fire. Scotty Scheffler, I watched that round. He shot a bogey-free 67. The guy is just in control. I mean, I think at the highest level of golf, they're all hitting great shots. They are. In a round, we're talking the elite players, they're going to hit 4 shots that are just spectacular, 5 shots. They're just absolutely stupendous, right? But the thing that separates them is their bad shots, they get a par. I mean, I think when you're looking at golfers, it's the guys who can get the par instead of the bogey. Those are the guys who win the tournaments. And that happens probably twice around, right? The birdies are important. The eagles are important. I'm not arguing that at all. But it's those guys who can make the 14-footer for par. Those are the guys who end up winning the tournament. Davis Thompson, your leader, shot a 66. I don't think anybody expects to see him in the final grouping on Sunday, but you never know. I was really happy to see Ludwig Åberg, one of my favorite golfers. A guy I think is a real threat at the Masters, even though I think he's a year away there. Shot a 66. Ever since the first round at the Farmers where he shot a 62, he got sick. He wasn't good at Pebble. He wasn't good the rest of the tournament there. I don't know. It just, it's nice to see him back. He likes to play tough courses. I think this kid has got 2, maybe 3 majors in him. I think looking at his game, he's going to win a British Open. I think he's going to win a PGA. The Masters, he does have the game for it, but I think it's going to take him another 2 years to get to the green, figure out the greens there. Guys who missed the cut, and like I've always told you, I'll be as honest as I can. I'm going to own what I own. I took Justin Rose for a top 20. He missed the cut. Robert McIntyre, I was very interested in. I had a piece of him. Missed the cut. Hovland missed the cut. Spieth missed the cut. I'm worried about Spieth. I know he wanted to play a signature event, but if I was him, and Jordan Spieth, a guy with 3 majors, needs my advice, I would not be playing these courses with really thick rough. I'd be waiting to get to Florida. You're coming off wrist surgery. It is a big mistake. I remember back in the day, when, you'd see Tiger and he'd be by some roots on a tree, and I would always think, man, just chip out, man. Don't go for it. Don't go for it. And, or I remember at the PGA when Tiger won, but Sergio was chomping at the bit, and he was at the base of that tree, and they had roots all around, and that kid just hit an amazing hook up into the green, got a par. And I was thinking to myself, man, don't ruin your career. Don't do it. It can happen so bloody quick, especially when you got these guys who, they got clubhead speed, swing speed, 160, 170, 180 miles an hour. I mean, come on, man. You got to be careful. On a sad note here, Max Homa missed it. He's really good in California. I don't know what's going on with Max Homa. One of my favorite golfers. I really like the California boy, but it seems like he's trying to find himself. It's like Bagger Vance. He's trying to find his swing. I have faith he will, but that's one of the things about golf. It comes and goes quick. The guys who are great, they figured it out, and they stay inside that thing. And Tiger was great, but you look at, I'm trying to think of somebody who had a run for a little, David Duval. How about that? He had that 5-year run, literally the best golfer in the world, and then kind of fell off, and I don't know what that was. You heard rumors that it was a snow skiing injury or mountain bike injury, excuse me. I don't know what the truth is. I mean, they have lives too. They do stuff. You have to remember, and I wish people did, and I'll include myself, these guys are in their 20s. They want to go out and party. They want to go out and have fun. It is amazing the discipline they have. And it's easier said than done to go, yeah, I got to focus on the thing. Imagine yourself with $25 million in the bank and then getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go work out in the gym and then go hit golf balls all day or play basketball or do whatever. That's an insane amount of discipline. And, you and I have regular jobs and we're like, oh my God, just do it for 2 or 3 years and get the money and then you can retire and do your thing. But they're in that ecosystem. I remember talking to this guy and he grew up with Tim Lincecum and they were best friends. And Tim got to the Giants and became Tim Lincecum. There's a guy who's borderline Hall of Fame in my book. But he said they were hanging out and he goes, Tim kind of, and I moved apart because I was a plumber and I had to work all year just to make my money to get my thing. And Tim, he made in 1 year what I'll make in 25 lifetimes. And he goes, I didn't begrudge him, but when he said, hey, I want to go to the Bahamas for 6 weeks, he goes, I couldn't do it, and that's kind of how they grew apart. And it wasn't a bad thing, but, Tim gravitated into his lifestyle. When he wants to go party for 6 weeks, he's going to go find people who want to go party. They aren't going to say, no, I can't. I got to go to work. Well, okay, I'm going to find people who can hang with me, whatever that is. All right. If you could, please hit the like and subscribe button. We will be talking tomorrow about the Canada game. We'll be talking about what's going on down there at the Genesis and everything else in the world of sports. Okay, leave your comments. I love them, and I will talk to you tomorrow.